legalize undocumented workers. A study out of UCLA says it would bring in an estimated $1.5 trillion to the U.S. over 10 years. This report suggests immigration reform would generate tax revenue, raise wages, create jobs, and increase compensation. Critics call this a bunch of hot air, and it would do very little of anything to stimulate the economy. David, do you buy this study?
No. I mean, come on. Just because it might cost us less to do something, does that make it right? I mean, back in '86 when we had our last big amnesty program, we said at the time, this is the last time we're going to do this. No more. Here we are 25 years later, and nobody can figure out how to fix the immigration problem. So, well, let's just justify letting them stay. I'm not saying that the present system works, and I know very well that especially here in agricultural states like the state of California, we need undocumented laborers to get a lot of work done here. So I realize that their presence here is helping us, but I think, saying that, oh, it'll cost us less if we just let them stay, so we should let them stay, is a wrong-headed idea. I mean, if you're going to use that line of logic, we're going to change our mind about a lot of things that I think we're going to regret doing in the long run.
Charlotte?
I think the study is flawed. And I think what they're saying is that the more legal residents you have in a country, the better for tax revenues and GDP. And that's probably true. And if that is the case and we want to increase those revenues, then why not increase legal immigration? We bring in about 1 million legal residents per year. Let's increase that number if that's what we want to do. But I don't think you should allow people who cut in line to have that benefit and first choice to stay here. It's like a bank robber getting into the vault and saying, oh, well, you're already here, so we'll go ahead and give you the money. To me, that's illogical.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying, Charlotte. Is that just because it'll save us money, is it right? And I don't think it is.
Right. I agree.
Okay, now there was big news today in the world of television. Looks like the Jay Leno experiment is over, and that Conan O'Brien could be the odd man out. TMZ reported that the Jay Leno show will go away on February 1st, just before the Olympic Games on NBC, and he'll return at 11:30 following the games, meaning Conan O'Brien would be out. The network would pay O'Brien an estimated $20 million as a penalty. The Leno Show at 10 has been a financial success for the network, given the cost to produce it. It's been a disaster for the affiliates because the low ratings have impacted their late local news revenues. Charlotte, why didn't this work?
Well, I think that Jay Leno actually is very good at the monologue and some of his little gigs like jaywalking and that kind of thing, but I don't think he's very good at interviews. So I do think he should be at 11:30. I think maybe a half hour would be better. But I have a little story about Jay Leno that I thought I would tell you. Way before he was famous, when I was 18 years old, I used to go to Tom Jones's concert. And there'd be different comedians for different shows. It would be the warm-up act. And so all the women would be sitting ringside, including me. And we'd be putting on our lipstick and getting our hair all nice before the show. So we weren't interested in the comedian. In fact, the goal was to ignore the comedian and do not laugh under any circumstances. And out of all the comedians I ever saw, the only person who made me laugh was Jay Leno. And I said, he's going to be successful someday, and he is successful.
You know, two things I'll say about that story. First, if you've seen Jay Leno work live, he is hysterical. And second, somehow it does not surprise me you were in the front row at the Tom Jones concert. David, what do you think? What went wrong?
Well, I think this was a bad idea to begin with, but this was not about entertainment. This was about business. And NBC made a financial decision about putting him at 10 o'clock. They didn't want to pay for the expensive primetime programming anymore, and to hell with the affiliates. And so from their standpoint, it worked fine. The problem is now they have to care about the affiliates because NBC is changing hands. And there's 200-something affiliates out there who can make a lot of hell for the network as they try to change hands. So all of a sudden, I think their tune is changing, and that's what we're seeing here. I don't think Leno ever was really meant to go at 10 o'clock. I think it was an economic reality. NBC painted itself into a corner. It had to pay, $45 million to another performer to come in if they didn't make good on their promises. Right. So this was a business decision, and it failed.
All right, 5 seconds to each of you. Conan O'Brien, is he getting a fair shake? Yes or no, Charlotte?
Well, it's all about, who brings in the audience. And I do think a lot of people support Conan O'Brien because I've seen a lot of the polls online, and people seem to like him better than Jay Leno, at least online.
David, Conan O'Brien getting a fair shake?
No, but there's no crying in television.
All right, Charlotte, David, good job. I'll talk to you next week.
Thanks.